Welcome back to the Agent Carter Vlogs. Now, before we start talking about episode 3, we were unable to finish talking about episode 2, so a few quick things to say about episode 2. First of all, the best thing of episode 2 is, what's his name goes into the room asking, "Who's that clown?" And it is actually a clown.
There was literally a clown sitting there, yeah, with Sousa in the lobby of their fake talent agency, but, you know, of course, they're in Hollywood. Of course people will find their fake talent agency.
Well, obviously. Other great parts was, the whole thing with the eclair. Like, she has to buy the eclair in order to use the phone, so she just takes a bite, throws it away.
She's not having any more of that racist donut.
Next time we do things my way. Quick jab to the eye will adjust his attitude tremendously. And then, Wilkes is like, you gotta, or, I think it's Wilkes.
Wilkes, yeah.
You're gonna punch all of LA? Maybe. I could use a hobby.
I would love to watch her punch all of LA. Like,
yeah.
No offense to listeners living in LA, but if you live in LA, you know how many assholes are in LA that need punched. Probably even more so in the 40s.
Yes. So, the one plot thing that I don't think we really went into was the dark matter, which is this
Zero matter.
No, zero matter, right. Sorry. Which is a strange, almost sort of like a black hole or sort of thing during, like, the nuclear tests or whatever. Atomic tests. And it just sucked in, like, all the soldiers and everything.
Yeah, it just, you know, it appeared when they set off an atomic bomb or something, didn't it? It not only consumed the entire explosion, but everything else that was standing too close.
And it's always the coldest material in the room, so that's obviously where all this freezing to death stuff is coming from.
Yeah.
And in the climax for the episode, Carter disguises as, I believe, a scientist.
I love her putting on disguises and accents.
Yeah. But, while Wilkes is trying to get the zero matter and contain it, Whitney Frost gets in the way, but during their little fight, the container breaks, and Wilkes, seemingly dies, and, but Whitney Frost has some sort of scar from the material, which is very suspicious.
I don't know the comics well enough to know what villain she's going to turn out to be. I think a lot of people have been saying Madame Mask. I don't know who she is, but I have noticed a lot of masks in, like, Whitney's house and studio decorations, so that might be a thing.
I would assume I would be just, like, an ice name, because, you know, Frost might as well go all out.
Whitney Frost, yeah, that's true.
But I guess not. Okay, with that out of the way, episode 3, let's go over the story first. Is that, basically after some prologue-y stuff, and apparently some attempt to frame Wilkes as a communist.
That's what you do in, you know, America. Like, this is
post-World
before
War
McCarthyism, but still, perfect time to start framing people for communism.
But basically, Peggy finds out that Wilkes and Dottie have a symbol that belong to an exclusive club, yet one that would not allow either of them in, which is interesting. So with Howard Stark's help, Peggy sneaks into the club to plant listening devices, and including finding the hilariously cliched secret meeting room.
I have to say, I adore Howard Stark's description of that group, and I'm just saving it as a great description for a lot of things in my in life that are annoying. And it's just they keep their membership male and pale.
Yes, that was great.
Beautiful.
But after going to the SSR, first of all, Jack Thompson buries him because the listen devices were disabled, essentially, so she doesn't have any proof. And I'll get to Jack Thompson in a minute.
Jack Thompson.
Well, she finds out she's seemingly been infected by the zero matter disease sort of thing. But it's not quite the same. It's seemingly just this weird almost like gravitational sort of thing, where certain objects will just float near her. It's very odd. But then, when Howard Stark tries to make the thing tangible in order to see it, they bizarrely find Dr. Wilkes is alive but unable to be touched. Which is a legitimate plot twist, because I don't think anyone would have predicted that.
Well, see, I figured he was probably alive somehow, because it's Marvel and we didn't see a corpse. That was not the manner in which I was expecting. But, okay.
Yeah. That was certainly
although wasn't
weird.
there an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode like this?
There might have been. Like, I'm only, like, episode 2 or 3 into season 2, so
I'm pretty sure it was
might have been
season
in
1.
season
There was a
1.
dude who got, like, trapped in another world or something. He was kind of blipping back and forth just enough to move stuff
That
around.
vaguely sounds familiar.
He was much more of a creepy stalker than Wilkes is.
Yeah. A bit later, Peggy also starts asking questions to Whitney Frost. And because she felt so intimidated by that, she gets her husband to send someone to attack Carter at I believe Howard's place.
Well, I think she's
But
staying
it
with
fails.
the Jarvises, but yeah, I think it is one of Howard's places. I just love the fact they decides the best time to try to assassinate a woman is when she's in the middle of a visible rage workout. And I also just feel like that she has to be who Steve got his tendency towards stressed bag punching from. Like, he has to have gotten that from her somehow.
Yeah. Or maybe they got it from each other.
Oh.
Who knows? And then, a bit later at work, Sosa finds out that Whitney Frost is in fact the scientist behind all of iodine energy in the first place. But right at the end, we have a little scene with Frost meeting with her agent, who was just barely able to get her to keep her role when the studio didn't want it. But then he gets way creepily close to her, and she just, sort of fights back, but it just unintentionally causes him to turn into Zero Matter and get sucked into her hand.
Okay, I have to tell you what my brother said when we saw that. He was like, well, he got what he wanted, he got inside of her. So yeah, that happened.
Too soon. A man died. I think.
I probably should have more sympathy, but I really have a hard time being sympathetic for guys who are being creepers immediately before something bad happens to them. It just feels like, yeah. And I am quite interested in that she's freaked out and horrified and terrified by what she's just done. Like, she wanted this guy to get off her, but she didn't want to kill him.
Yeah.
And she's freaked out by what she's becoming, so she's freaked out and horrified. But, I'm also anticipating a kind of, light Yagami transformation where she starts to get a handle on the fact that she can kill people, quite possibly without consequences since they don't leave a body behind. And just how that, and, she's clearly on track for transforming into a supervillain, unless they decide to twist that and 180 it and she becomes like Peggy's new lesbian best friend. That would be wonderful. With superpowers?
That would be a plot twist I wouldn't expect, so. Honestly, the most interesting thing is we still have no idea how exactly Dottie is involved in this. How is she involved in this? I'm legitimately interested.
Last we saw her, she was taken away by the FBI, and I fully do not believe that she is still imprisoned.
Oh, so yes, the other thing is I do not trust that FBI guy at all.
Is he part of that Male and Pale Society? I know they gave it another name, but that's
They've
what I'm
not
thinking
confirmed
about.
it, but he was there towards the end. Like,
Yeah.
when he showed off the newspaper, that was actually
Yeah.
real.
Yeah, and he's a creepy older white guy in a suit, so he's in the main demographic for that society.
Yeah. So can we discuss easily the single worst part of this episode? Which is Jack Thompson being obnoxiously stubborn.
Yeah, I thought he'd started a character develop into actually respecting Peggy, but he's, I don't know if I mentioned before that he was resisting showing any respect for her in front of other men, and he's a lot more actively he's almost angry at her for not being useless. You know,
Yeah.
he's definitely very emasculated by the fact that she's better than him in every way.
Yeah, but let me just. But here's my notes about this. Jack spends 2 minutes making the audience want him brutally murdered. His attempts at being an actual character might be dead. Now he's just the Bosch in power who doesn't understand.
He did lie to creepy FBI dude or whatever he was about the fact that he watched the tape and watched the reel and knew what zero matter is. So, you know, he's probably lying when he said he trusted the guy, but he's still being an annoying, obstructive asshole.
That's not even that. It's the fact that he's just such a boring, cliched, non-character. He is a trope. He is nothing more than a boring trope.
It reminds me of, like, Honest Trailers did an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. trailer today, and they're doing the starring, and they're giving, you know, nicknames to all the characters, and Grant Ward is just white bread toast.
I thought it would be like... I thought it would just be like, Husky McMuscles, or something funny like that.
I mean, he is
That's how I would
basically just
describe
the
him.
Grant Ward of this show, you know. I don't anticipate him turning out to be a Nazi, but...
Ward was at least the muscles guy.
No, Melinda May was the muscles.
Well, the more visibly obvious muscles.
Yeah. So, I don't know what's going on with Jack Thompson, but I don't know if he's I would like him to get less annoying, but wouldn't we all?
Yeah, maybe he'll be the one to sacrifice himself this season.
That would be nice. Get rid of him.
I have quite a bit of other notes.
I have a lot of notes, but I basically just have one big topic that I'm still dying to talk about, so I'll let you go through your notes first.
Okay, I did like the scene with Howard shooting that movie with, because, Jarvis and, Carter were in the shot, and then they sidestep like something straight off like a Looney Tunes cartoon. Just, whoop, whoop.
And they're just obviously not out the way, and the self-conscious snark in that scene was gorgeous.
Yeah, but though I feel like they were like they were trying a little too hard with but they're ready for a movie based on a comic book, and my
Sounds
notes are like,
dreadful.
har har har, so meta, much irony.
Yeah, they don't beat the dead horse too much with it. It's enough for a giggle and moving right along.
Oh yeah, there was that scene where Carter basically acts like Howard is a literal dog. Like,
Yeah.
he's a good boy with the drink, and it works.
She has a martini, he's like, come here boy, come on.
The best part is that it actually works.
I love how she weaponizes his ability to make a scene and just be ridiculous and annoying. Just, you know, gets all of his executive assistants in there to make a scene in the club. Also, that dress, like all of her outfits for this episode, but especially the one in that scene, oh my god. She needs to stop being so gorgeous. I can't handle this. I will not survive this season if she doesn't stop. Like, ugh. Oh my god. And Howard in general is really good through this episode, especially have you slept? No sleep. Coffee.
Yes.
Science on coffee.
Science on coffee. I like. Why did he decide to get Jarvis to get all these things? Like, I'd really like some cheese. I don't know. Why does he want cheese? I don't get it. Because cheese?
I think I missed that line.
Oh, this is the most cringeworthy line when Howard invites all the women in there into the club when they're not supposed to be, and then one of the people there asks security, is like, "We have a code pink."
Just like, oh
Because
my
women,
God.
pink. Ha, ha, ha. That joke is so dumb, I'm not sure if I should applaud or facepalm.
Most things to do with that club are so dumb.
I think the best part is that someone actually wrote that down for the script in a live action show.
I suppose the point is supposed to be that they're all incredibly boring and dumb and think they're all quite pretentious and think they're a lot more important than they actually are. Like, again, these guys are not threatening villains. They're barely register. Whitney Frost and Dottie Underwood are the threatening villains of the show.
Yeah.
And I'm loving that quite a lot.
Yep. One last little thing is that Jarvis installs the best alarm system ever.
They did that self-consciously again. Don't want to be a disembodied voice for all eternity. Well, disembodied till Age of Ultron, anyway.
Yeah. And that's basically all the notes I had for this. Probably the best thing about this episode is that it was a little more focused instead of having like 500 plot points to keep track of and changing scenes all the time. So you have no idea what to focus on or what's important. This one is just like basically a few important things.
Yeah. It's good. They're a bit more streamlined now. They're looking for, Whitney Frost and why they're trying to pretend Wilkes is a communist.
Yeah.
It's quite. I do want to know where Dottie's gone, but I get them being streamlined this time. I am sad that Anna wasn't in this episode because she is already my favorite character after Peggy. So.
Oh yeah, that's actually one thing we didn't talk about before. That Anna Jarvis, who's fantastic.
I adore her.
Yeah.
She's so cute, and she's so, her in a relationship with the husband is so cute, and it's so solid, it's proper, and she's she's clear on why. The guy committed treason, stole official documents, and tried to steal a plane to get her out of danger, out of the reach of the Third Reich. So, they started out pretty solid, and they're not going anywhere. The relationship isn't going anywhere, they just have absolute love and trust in each other. Especially you get when, the judo scene, which ends up in your classic accidentally, oh no, fell over on top of you anime thing. Significant other comes in, horrible misunderstandings, apparently somehow comedy happens, I don't know. But, in this, it's just Anna going, oh, judo? She instantly knows what's going on and that there's not anything of that kidney happening between Peggy and Jarvis. And also just the fact that she mentions that he's his sparring partner, so I kind of want to see her judo somebody's ass. But just also the fact that the woman made Peggy a garter for holding a small gun. I want her to be Peggy's 40s Q.
That would be great.
That would be amazing. I mean, Howard Stark's the one that's making a lot of tech gadgets, but Anna is obviously the one that makes, weaponized garters and heels and hair ornaments and things like that.
Yeah.
Important things like that.
Yeah.
In general, I love Peggy and Anna's friendship. I love how solidly they hit it off, and the fact that, immediately as Peggy is... I really want to know what happened to Angie. I want to know where she went, but Peggy already has this solid friendship that is not in any way being impacted by, she has a solid friendship with both of the Jarvises, and there's none of that, there's no jealousy nonsense anywhere, which I love. So many flippin' shows mistake romance drama for actual drama, basically. I'm very rarely interested in that crap anyway, but especially when it hinges entirely on miscommunication and misunderstanding and jealousy, I hate it.
That never works for drama. Sometimes it works for comedy, but never drama, really.
It's dumb, and it's based, and, all it does is make the relationships between characters weaker, not stronger. And also the fact that Sousa's clearly expecting some of that nonsense, which is why he doesn't tell Peggy he has a girlfriend. Seriously, dude. Attractive lady asks you out for drinks. Don't just say, no, I'm too tired tonight. Say, well, I shouldn't because I have a girlfriend, see. That's literally all it takes. Probably could have told her months and months ago when you weren't returning her calls. Rude. But I just also the fact that he's, clearly worrying about it, and Rose, bless her, I adore Rose, is just you should just tell her, and they walk in, and Violet and Peggy are laughing and chatting and have clearly hit it off wonderfully and eating her cookies, and Sousa just has a face like he knows he's dead. This is where his life ends.
Yes.
But Peggy genuinely, she's not just pretending to be nice, she genuinely likes Violet, because Violet's sweet. She's very, very sweet. It's not her fault that whatever was going on between Sousa and Peggy, or wasn't, or just why he wasn't returning her calls or whatever. Not her fault Susan didn't tell Peggy he had a girlfriend. She's just genuinely sweet, and she really cares about him, and if he's going to propose to that girl, he needs to clear up what's going on with Peggy, and he needs to be honest to her about what was going on with Peggy. Because otherwise, he's just going to end up being a dick to both of them. And I do not approve.
True enough.
So, just in general, I love the fact that there's so many female characters in the show, that they're, like, you know, it's not the absolute paragon of diversity. Aside from Anna being Jewish, they're all white women. They're all, you know, aside from Rose, they're all pretty much the same body type. They're all, as far as we know, they're all heterosexual. Like, you know, we all have dreams about Peggy and Angie, but there is nothing in the text to indicate that Peggy ain't straight. Sadly, tragically, painfully, there is nothing to say she's not straight. So, you know, it's not beautiful, perfect paragon of diversity, but what it has is still a really great variety of female characters who have a lot of just strong, positive relationships with each other, aside from, you know, obviously the enmity between Peggy and Whitney and Peggy and Dottie. And again, I love the fact that the actually sinister enemies in the show are not the Board of Male and Pale, it's Dottie and Whitney. And that's really one of the main themes of this whole show is women being underestimated and thus upending everything else. Yes, because, you know, Whitney's going completely overlooked in the, you know, the spotlight of her senator husband. I said sinister husband. He is not sinister. He wishes he was sinister, but he's not. I also, I'm feeling like she might end up either accidentally or on purpose killing him. Like, probably not on purpose, but there's a chance.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. Because she's got these superpowers going on that she doesn't understand and can't fully control. I feel like she's going to learn to control them and become very, very dangerous. And then, you know, goodness knows where Dottie's at, but you can bet she's going to come find Peggy again.
Yeah. I wonder if, like, Whitney becomes, like, full-on mega supervillain, if, like, Dottie and Peggy will, like, have to team up to stop her or something like that.
That would be interesting. That would be a really I do kind of love... I mean, I don't think Peggy and Dottie exactly have, like, a respectful enemies relationship. Like, you know, Dottie clearly respects the hell out of Peggy's skill. I don't think Peggy so much respects Dottie as just doesn't disrespect her the way a lot of male agents do. A lot of male agents are still not taking her seriously because she's a woman. Peggy isn't doing that, but, you know, she doesn't particularly like Dottie or hugely respect her abilities or anything. But, you know, I do love that thing where enemies who kind of hate each other but also kind of like each other have to team up to deal with a bigger foe. Yeah, that stuff is pretty much always great. It's always wonderful. So I would actually be really interested in seeing that. Especially if they bring back the fact that Dottie is doing her damnedest to look like Peggy now, to use that for, like, you know, a trap or a trick or something. That would actually be pretty great. Good characters and good relationships. And again, Peggy's got a good, solid friendship with Howard and Jarvis that I enjoy that bit of the club where Jarvis just comes out of nowhere and gives her an out of the awkward conversation with the, steward dude. And yes. The fact that I'm pretty sure Howard would hit on her if he wasn't utterly terrified of her, but yeah. he knows she'd kill him. Yeah, most likely. I also like the little moment where Howard is like saying, "This club's not half bad," and then Jarvis says, "We have to go." He's like immediately, "I hate this club. Let's go, ladies." Just like that. He just doesn't care. He comes off in public, and it is great that he can just use that to smoke screen. He's so ridiculously Tony in this episode. You know, where they mention that he's gotten invitations to join this club. He's like, "I'm not a joiner." Did Tony not have that exact line before? Yeah, like that's, I think. So there was a lot of that. And also just the reminder that, yeah, he's nonsense, but he is also one of the most brilliant scientific minds in the world at that time. And him having fun with Wilkes trying to figure out the science. Yeah. I do like that they had to actually solidify his, like, vocal cords. Yes. That was pretty funny. Also, for he's choking on it, and Howard would just take a spritz. It's like, it's not that bad. You know, he's probably drunk much worse.
Yeah, most likely. And for fun.
Just also that moment where Peggy's standing and talking to Howard, Jarvis, and Sousa about Wilkes, and she's the opposite of subtle about the fact that she fancies him, and they've all just kind of got looks about it, and like, Jarvis is just kind of, you're not even being subtle, you are not being subtle enough to be English, and whereas Howard and Sousa are both kind of jealous, but Howard's definitely more, I think Howard's more on the end of, oh well, I have a swimming pool full of supermodels, but Sousa's visibly, oh, she really likes this guy.
I'm really struggling to think of anything else to say.
I'm enjoying the writing. It is getting in that good mix of really good character writing and just being quite quotable. And yeah, it keeps going at a good pace. It isn't dragging at any point. It's always good espionage sequences or fight sequences.
Which is a good thing considering how each episode is like, twice as long as like a lot of other shows we watch.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was quite glad that the makeup didn't skimp on the fact that Peggy has, a visible burn on her neck from a dude trying to strangle her. Like,
that.
I have seen stuff before that, especially with female characters, will try to skim over particularly ugly injuries like that. And it's like, no, dude tried to strangle her, which is how she knows she's doing her job well.
That was one of the coolest things about the last Judge Dredd movie. Was they had that female like mob boss sort of character, and she had like legit like ugly scars despite still looking beautiful. Oh, so they were like still able to like pull that off really well, and they didn't skimp on like making her look hurt.
Yeah, it's that.
It made her look much more badass.
Yeah, I think the trope's called "Beauty is never tarnished." It's about how beautiful people only get tiny, cool-looking injuries that aren't, unsightly. But, yeah. Anyway, I don't know if her immediate response is to walk up into the, into Whitney Frost's dressing room like, hey, so I know you tried to kill me.
Well, that was quick.
Well, it's, she doesn't so much say that as like, I know you're to do with this. I know you're behind this somehow. I am on to you. Actually, no, that was before that, wasn't it? Because that was why Whitney Frost sent the assassin.
Yeah.
I mixed up the order of those scenes I had. But, she's still clearly not scared of Whitney Frost, and I'm so looking forward to their showdown.
Yeah. I do think it's funny when she started, crying, pretending she was like, scared of Peggy, which she might still be, but, and like, I like how obvious it is that she's faking, but they still let the scene go on and on.
Yeah. That just has to be the easiest acting job she's ever done.
Yeah.
Because, even her own husband is clearly underestimating her. Like, he assumes her reason for wanting to quit acting is that she wants to start having babies.
Yeah, I was like, well, that's the 40s for you.
Under the 40s. It is probably a more common 40s attitude. It just does manage to stand in fairly stark contrast to how the Jarvises treat each other. Especially just to mention that Anna was his sparring partner. He's not trying to, spare her frailties or anything. He's happy to actually fight with her. Questionable how much fighting he's actually learned to do very well. He did manage to take Peggy by surprise, to be fair, but she could kick all their asses.
Yes.
I do want more I was kind of disappointed in this episode that it was only really Peggy and Whitney. Like, I want more Rose, I want more Violet, I want more,
other flower
Anna.
names.
So much Anna. Yeah. I honestly just really wanted Anna in every episode. I can't get over how much I love this character. I'm so glad that she's finally actually appeared. And I want Angie back.
Yes.
We all want Angie back.
I would honestly just watch like a really light episode that just involved Peggy, Angie, and just enjoying themselves.
Yeah, just taking advantage of Howard's house and having a wee private pool party.
Yeah.
That would be lovely.
That
get
would
Rose.
be great.
Invite Rose and Violet along too, just hanging out. Right after Violet's got the ring, and they're all helping her plan her wedding. Something like that. And assassins
And then just have
attack at
Howard
some point.
try and fail to hit on everyone.
Yeah, no, they chase Howard away with guns. But they're just hanging out. Assassins attack at some point. Gotta fight them. Somebody gets hurt, and Violet can patch them up at the end.
Yeah.
Go back to the pool party.
Or better yet, these still have the pool party and are so nonchalant about fighting the assassins that they still enjoy themselves while fighting the assassins.
Yeah. Although after that, they stay out the pool because there's assassin bodies floating in it. Not much fun to swim in.
They try to chase over one of them, and one of them just say Anna just dives into pool nonchalantly, and just someone else beats them up, while they're distracted by the fact that the person they were chasing just jumped into a pool.
Yeah. Anna out. I mean, I imagine Anna must have, if she was on the verge of being, arrested and shipped off by the Third Reich, she may have been already, hiding from them, trying to escape from them, part of the underground there, whatever it was. I do want to know what that was like for her, but she's probably got a lot of badass we haven't seen yet.
Probably.
In general, I am really impressed by the beginning of this season. I'm hoping for more good things as it progresses. I have faith in this show.
Indeed. I think that's about it. See you next time.